those point of view. Perfect. And I sent them all to Ronnie, so if you didn't get them, you can email her and ask. So we are going to go over content creation essentials today. And so we're going to go over a lot of tools, tips, and time savers, so that way you're not spending hours creating content for yourself. If you're like me, you don't really have that much time to do that anyway, and you likely don't have a team of people do it for you. So here's where all of this comes in. And I get to try and do this with two computers, so bear with me, please. And this, everyone, two screens. Okay, so we are on the About Me section. So if you came last time, then you know a few things about me. And if not, I'll share with you a few additional fun items, which are, I've got 3 fun facts, which is I've torn my ACL 3 times, same one. My parents started a coffee roasting company in 1990. So my first sip of coffee was when I was 5. And I think that's why I'm short. And I started my first business when I was 15, and I created a pickup line t-shirt company that I sold out of my parents' car. And anyway, I've been around small businesses pretty much my entire life, and I quite love them. But I've been in digital marketing for 15 years. And I started off where I used to create all of the social content for a lot of different entertainment brands. The big one was NBC. And so I did that for a lot of their comedy shows and reality television as well. And then in 2018, I got into paid social ads, and I did that for a lot of other big companies as well. And then, as I mentioned last workshop, at the beginning of last year, I started my own company because I wanted to work with brands that I actually cared about and help nice people, especially seeing my parents, like they don't have, you know, $50,000 a month to spend on ads, and I wanted to help more people like them. So here I am. And if you have any questions as I go, if you're on Zoom, you can feel free to unmute and just ask your question. If you're here, you don't need to unmute. You can just shout at me, and I will answer, hopefully. So, going over our agenda today, I want to go over different types of content that you might want to consider creating, depending on what your goals are as a business. How to create a content calendar and what that is, if you haven't seen one of those before. Repurposing content across platforms, so you don't have to create 20 different pieces of new content, but how you can use one piece and use it 10 different ways. That's a big time saver. How to segment your content by audience. So last time we went over a little bit about creating customer personas. So you're going to be speaking to different people for your business, and how to create content that resonates with each of them. And then at the end, we're going to do a lot more hands-on exercise where you all get to practice creating reels. So I'll show you how to create video content and using templates, so that way you can create a video in a minute or less, which hopefully sounds good to everyone. Yes. We can do a timer and then just see. So first, in case you aren't aware, there are different types of content for different purposes. So we are going to go over the hierarchy of advertising, the importance of content, and the various types of content that you can create for your brand. So first, you might think, this is not relevant to me, I'm not advertising. But the thing is, you're always advertising whether you're spending money on it. And this is really important. So you can have a wonderful product or service, but if nobody knows about it, it's never going to work. And if everyone knows about something but doesn't want it, not going to work also. So this is where it's really important, and this is the number one thing that really matters in terms of what you're putting out there. So if you can understand your audience and their pain points or desires, then you can tailor your offer to be more compelling to them. So I know, Nikki, you have a flower business, and so maybe one of your customers are, say, men who are in the doghouse and need to give flowers to their partners. And so that offer is going, you're like, okay, what's the price point that men want to spend on flowers? How do I create a bouquet that is appealing to that person who's going to buy it for the right? And again, an offer doesn't necessarily mean this is on sale or this is a discount. It is the thing that you are offering. So next is your landing page. So you can get a lot of people to your landing page. So this is a page on your website, typically where your offer is. So if that is a good, clear page, you're going to get sales from it. But if you're leading people to a page where the offer is not clear, where it's clunky, where it's very hard for people to, if you're selling something, to buy, or if you're asking for donations and people don't know where to go to donate, that's it. They're out and you've lost them. And so there are different ways of testing to see, what works and what doesn't, and you can make little tweaks. And then you can always look at different metrics to see if your landing page is working. Where are you getting people to your website? Are they bouncing right away, or are they staying on there, and are sales coming through? So anyway, I like to look at it like if you're inviting people to a party, but when they arrive, there's no food or drinks and all the people are really boring, they're going to just leave. So you don't want that to be your website. You want it to be like, you're coming to my party and I want you to stay because this is everything you need right here. So third is your creative. So we're going over creative right now, but I did want to point out that there are two other things that are really important before that content that you create. So we live in a world where a lot of people are really mindlessly scrolling and they're bombarded with messages and visuals all the time. And you need to be able to cut through that noise. You want this chair? You can come sit right next to me. My workstation is very
looks like my workstation.
Yeah, see, it's so fun. So this is where you get your audience to stop scrolling. And so on social media, you have anywhere from 1.7 to 3 seconds to capture someone's attention. That is it. So that is a very short time period. For video, you have 5 to 10 seconds to engage someone. If you are sending out emails, so if email marketing is part of your strategy, you have 8 to 10 seconds of someone scanning to decide if it's worth their time to read it. So think about that. If you send out an email with just all text, and it's not broken up, 8 seconds to scan that, someone probably is going to just jump. So you really don't have that much time. And for a website visitor, you have 10 to 20 seconds. So if they can't find what they need within that time, they are out. And I'm sure I pulled these stats at the end of last year. It always takes a year for the data to come in. So likely it will be even less time this year, just because that's how things have been going. We had more time before and now even less. So the fourth most important thing is your primary text. So this is primarily for social media. So this is that text that accompanies, say, an Instagram post or a Facebook post. On YouTube, it can be the text that accompanies the video. LinkedIn, it's the body of your image or video that you post. So this just helps you to provide context and explain your offer further to help your audience learn more. So if you're giving them all this information up front, then they're getting all of that in shorter snippets, so that way maybe when they go to your website to then try and learn more about your offer or buy it, they already have all of that information ahead of time. So then they don't need to spend it trying to find it on your website. So you're giving them all of this stuff to go so that there is a smaller window of time in which you need to convince them to buy once they're already on your website. You have a website. So last is your headline. Let me admit someone. There we go. So this is the first text that users notice underneath an image or a video, and you might like recognize it, which you probably do. Has anyone not seen a headline before? But it sums up basically what you've written in your primary text or what you have in your video, and that is something that you want it to be attention grabbing. So if they don't read your longer copy, they see the headline and know what this is about. So you have lots of opportunities to get people in, hook them in short periods. So my tip here, avoid overcomplicating things. It's easy to get swept away with trying to be overly creative or funny. Just be clear, like just keep it simple. What is it that you're doing? And it needs to match the creative. Like you don't want to have a headline that doesn't match what you're actually talking about. So if you're advertising a sale, say whatever that sale is in your headline. Are there any questions on this? No, you can interrupt me if you want. All right, so here's sort of just to summarize the importance of content, which I'm sure you all are aware of. But basically for visibility and awareness, it's how you can reach new people. Trust and credibility, this is, you know, how you're putting content out there to establish yourself as an authority in this arena. So people aren't going to purchase from you if they can't trust you or what you're offering. That feels scary to them. It's really great for building engagement. So what you're putting out there can foster a community, and we've seen it over and over again where people are building these online communities and you have people who are your social friends who you might never have met. But this is a way that you can do that. And it's really great for growing your business. If you can show why what you're offering is going to benefit someone and you're showing the full details of this product. And again, speaking to that person's pain points and how you solve for that, it can help just skyrocket your growth. Because again, you're not relying on people to walk into a physical store. You're putting this online and your audience is anybody who's out there. So something that is happening is video, which is why we're going to go over video today. that's just becoming more and more popular, and the social platforms are favoring video content over others. Now, that's not to say that good photos and fake carousels don't work. Just saying video just tends to help you grow more than
It's a carousel, like the photo gallery, like it.
you scroll through, yep, and so you can add up to I believe 10 or 20.
Oh, like at the top, no, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it scrolls through. Now, something that they did announce at the beginning of the year is if you add music to your carousel, then they count that as a video. So that they're trying to bump up carousels. They introduced carousel as like a new format where you can showcase a lot of images sequentially and you can tell a story, but those were getting bumped off from videos. And so now as a way to bring them back up, you add video, or not video, you add music to it, and then it will show up in like the Discover section for Reels, and that's another way for new people to be able to find you. Basically, why it went this way is because it captures people's attention for longer when they see a video. And what does that mean for the social platforms? It means people stay on them longer. And so that is how video keeps getting bumped up. So just some things that I've listed here. You get 10 times more engagement on posts with videos than static images. That's sort of on average. Again, that's not always the case. That just tends to be the case. 70% of consumers said that they prefer to learn about a brand or a product through short form videos rather than single images. So that's a big percentage and something to consider with your audience as well if you're not already doing that. There's 67% increased engagement of Reels versus just standard videos. So again, that's the vertical format, like you're shooting it on your phone and paired with audio, and it becomes like these short videos that, again, people's attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter, so you need to speak to that.
And harder.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, now I need to do this in less than a second, can I? I mean, 91%, pretty much everybody on Instagram engages with video content weekly. And then if you're on TikTok, the amount of time that TikTok users spend per day on the platform is almost an hour and a half. That's a lot of time spent on that platform.
That's an interesting point about that people want to learn about a product through short form videos. Mm-hmm. Just last night, I was on a website and I wanted to see the thing actually work. And I scrolled through their whole website and they had no videos. And so I left the website, went to YouTube, and just saw other people talking about it just so I could see it work.
Yeah.
So I thought, it's weird, there's no video on here at all.
Yeah. And that's such an interesting observation.
I want to see it work.
Yeah. And you did way more research than I would say 90% of the people who would just have said, forget it, they wouldn't have gone to YouTube. But that would have been a great way for that brand. People are already posting videos. Ask that person if they can use their videos of using their product in real life. Oh, goldmine, where you don't even have to spend any time creating that content. You just take other people's. You need to ask for permission, obviously, but that's a way where it takes you, 10 seconds to craft the request, and they've already done the heavy lifting for you. So, now there are 4 different types of content. At least I categorize them 4 different ways. So, first is brand awareness. you have revenue generation, you have educational content, and then you have community engagement. So these are all different goals, and your content can do different things. Really good content can do all of these things. So it doesn't just good content. You can address all of these areas. You don't necessarily need to create, say, 4 different videos. You can establish all of that in, say, 1 video if it's good and you think through it. And part of that is, again, knowing your audience and what they care about. So you can educate them about, like, does anyone want to tell me what business they do? We can do flowers again, but if anybody else wants to,
Let's do flowers.
okay, flowers. So, like brand awareness, we need to know that your flowers exist. So I want to see, like, okay, here's your garden growing. And then educational content, I'm seeing how are you growing those flowers and what sorts of fertilizer are you using and how do you put a bouquet together. So all of this is you're going to tell the story that's going to get people involved and then also sell your bouquet. So people are now learning what it takes to grow a garden, how much water it might take, and then how you choose which flowers to cut and put into a bouquet and what your decision process is in that. And maybe you've previously asked someone a question of like, do you want to know how I put together a Mother's Day? Okay, so you can then include another question of like, okay, here's how I'm putting together a Mother's Day bouquet. Who has another question about flowers that I can answer next? You're gonna get people to talk on that video and you're still doing it. And then you finish by showing us how you put together this beautiful bouquet and now it's ready to be sold. Someone watches that whole thing. They're included in your whole story of how you put this bouquet together, why it might cost what it does, because it takes a lot of work. And now we see it all packaged up, ready to be sold. And you can sell that bouquet. Because maybe at the end of your video, you're like, here's where to buy this bouquet. Or click shop now in my bio, and you can buy this bouquet. So all of that in one video. You don't need to create like, here's my video on how I grow my flowers, and here's my video on selling my flowers. You can incorporate it all in one. I'm sure there's a lot better ways to do it. That was me thinking off the top of my head. And I've only had 2 shots of espresso today, and I normally have 4. So
Wow.
you know, we're slow moving. So brand awareness content. What is it? This is the content that introduces your brand and your offerings. So this is ideal for growing your presence and reaching new audience. So for example, you'd want to use this type of content during key periods like a new launch. If you're launching something new, if you're doing a rebrand, it's always fine to rebrand, but you do have to let people know that you're doing it. Or when you're trying to expand, really reach new people. Also, I realized I forgot to say in the beginning, I will send out this entire deck to everyone. So feel free to take notes, but if you don't get to it, that's also fine because you will have all of this. So just an example of this is Airbnb. You might not know because they rebranded themselves. And I mean, everyone made jokes about the new, their new logo, but they rebranded what their business goal was going to be. And they wanted to be the place that would really offer like experiences and unique stays in places. And so they created a whole campaign around that and telling their brand. And that was just trying to mass get that story out there and separate themselves from those traditional travel companies. They were a different type of travel company. So That's one that hopefully you've all heard of. Have you all heard of Airbnb? Do you know it? Okay. Look at that, see? Good brand awareness, they did it. The next one that I mentioned is revenue generating content, and this is going to be slightly different than brand awareness. You can still tell your story, but you're gonna have just a little bit of a different spin because ultimately your goal is make someone aware of what you're doing, but you want to sell it at the end. So this might show your product or your service, any sort of special offers you have. And what's really great are success stories or testimonials or people using the product, like you mentioned, where it is social proof that this is a real thing, it works, and it's not a scam. People don't want to waste their money on something that isn't going to work. So this is something that you would want to use when your goal is to increase sales or conversions or donations if you're asking for donations. And make it super clear what you want people to do. So they're not going to guess. They can't read minds or copy that's not there. So say, you know, new bag, shop the sale now, or bouquets on sale this week, buy now, big fundraiser, donate. Like you have to tell people what it is that you want them to do. So a really great brand, I don't know if that many people know of them. I don't actually use their products, but they do great marketing. So this is Glossier, and they were sort of new to the makeup game. And so they needed to compete with all the brands that have been out there for a long time. And they wanted to sell their products. So what they did is basically they launched a user-generated campaign. So this was asking people to take pictures or video using their products, and then they featured them in their advertising campaigns. So people felt like they were famous by using their product and posting about it. And people kept posting about it, and they would use the same hashtag, so that way Glossier could find them. And maybe, just maybe, if theirs was good enough, then Glossier would repost their content. And this is how they got way more sales, because people started seeing this pink lip gloss and they wanted to be a part of this trend that was happening. So that's one way of doing it. So now there's educational content, and this is, as it is in the name, intended to help your audience either learn something new, solve a problem, or really help them make informed decisions. This type of content is good year-round. Everybody loves learning new things, and a lot of people go to all of the platforms to learn something new, whether it's cooking, how to play an instrument, how to make flower arrangements, whatever it is, that educational content good all the time. And that's a really great way to establish yourself as an authority in that space. And you're providing immense value to your audience by providing this type of content, especially for free. And I'm sure you all know about Patagonia. And here's a genius way where they have done educational content with revenue generating content, because they sell a lot of clothes and they care about the environment. So they often educate people about the environment and environmental issues that they are fighting against. And so they did this whole thing about don't buy this jacket. You see that from a company like Patagonia, you're like, wait a minute, what? Don't buy this jacket I thought you were selling to me. And then they tell you why not to buy the jacket. And they're saying, don't buy a new jacket. We are recycling all of this material into this. They sold a new jacket, but using recycled material. That is, they're educating about something that they care about and that they're doing in all of these environmental issues with this secondary goal, basically selling their products. Go figure, that's also what they do. And then lastly, there is community engagement, and this really helps to foster a sense of belonging and make your brand seem more like a human than a machine or just a company posting because they have to. So people really want to feel like they belong and can contribute. So giving them opportunities to do so can really help create a loyal following. So asking for feedback, asking people to share a story where, you know, if you're a coffee company, like, have you had your coffee yet this morning? Or what's your favorite coffee drink? That's an easy question that people feel like they can answer. It's hard if you're asking a sort of political question because that just can spark a lot of debate. If you want to deal with that, that's great. But otherwise, you can start off easy with the softball questions and ways to get people to engage. Like tag a friend if you want to go get coffee with them, you know, or if your name starts with E today, comment on this post and we'll send you a coupon for $1 off your next coffee drink. Like random things like that.
More coffee.
And then I'm like, let me give you the company examples I know. Next time I'll bring a carafe. And look, see, I'm teeing it up for my Starbucks example. By the way, Starbucks was always the S word in my family because we had another coffee company that was not Starbucks. So I used to think it looked like a swear word, but it's not. Anyway, they've done great. They really have a loyal following and they have created a whole like Starbucks community. People love it. And so they launched something called My Starbucks Idea, which allowed customers to suggest improvements. And then it allowed anybody to come in and see those improvements and people could vote. So now they're creating a community because people can engage with each other and Starbucks is engaging with their audience. And then the things that got voted up the most, Starbucks actually made.
And that's taking a lot of work out of it, because they're just doing.
They don't have to pay a company to do all these like focus groups.
Promote, yeah.
They've just done it, exactly. So, even though they're the S word, they're still very.
I still don't like Starbucks.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, I don't, but they're genius. So they've done really well, and this is a way to build community engagement in a way that doesn't feel really sort of like sleazy and gross. Like it made it seem like they cared, and then they made those changes. So.
And made the customers feel like they
And
were
they made
part
the
of
customers-
company. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. All of that. And so those are ways where I know I gave you examples of big brands, but you can do this for yourself. And it's just a matter of, I try and give you ideas for how other people have done it. And you can take little pieces and apply it to whatever it is that you're doing. So I want this to be short. This will be 5 minutes. See if you can do it in 5 minutes. But I want you to think about your goals as a brand and think about what are your top 2 business goals right now. Do you want to build awareness? Do you want to drive revenue? Do you want to educate your customers? Or do you want to build community engagement? So you can write down your first 2. And then what I want you to do after that is create a pie chart. And I want you to sketch out what your ideal content ratio is based on those goals. So, for example, here you can see that my top 2 goals were awareness and education. So I'm allocating 80% of my content to those 2 pillars, and then I'm going to do 10% community and 10% revenue. And so there's no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever feels good to you. just gonna see if there's any, everyone gets to have one more minute. There we go.
Primarily to be on here doing any kind of social media, because I really don't like being on social media. My number one goal would obviously be to fundraise.
Yeah.
Not really doing it for pleasure.
Yeah.
Gosh, I like being on here.
Just wanna be on there all the time. It's like,
I just wish there was another way to grow. I feel like there was a time before social media where people were successful in growing their businesses, but it just seems to be like Becky guru to teach a yoga class. It's crazy the amount of stuff you have to go through just to. It's kind of frustrating. Not happy about it.
no,
That's
I-
not the kind of business I thought you were gonna say.
Yeah,
So what do you think that social media would be a huge part of that?
it's
It's
huge.
not. Yeah, I mean,
It's not for me. I probably would.
Probably your clientele is not on social media,
That is.
or maybe not true.
No,
That's probably not true.
I check my insights and it's like I know what my demographic, I can get information off of there, like I know who my demographic is, like who I'm speaking to. But for me to get on there every day and post like multiple times there, that's what. Instagram, you're supposed to do a minimum of 2 posts a day, or there's like all these rules for content and everything, and I'm just not. I'm not into it. And I
get
just,
that.
there's this part of me that just really wants to believe that I don't need to go through these avenues to.
Yeah, well, you gotta get over that.
I know, I got a bad attitude about it. I just don't say so.
That's okay, you can have the bad attitude and then we're gonna debunk some of those things and then make it fun for you.
That's
That
kind of what I was
doesn't,
hoping to get out of today.
That doesn't feel terrible.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I actually met with a yoga studio yesterday who's experiencing the same thing. And the issue is you're competing with all the other ones who are doing the online and creating the social content. So you have to compete with them and then also figure out how do you get people into your yoga studio like in person, you know, and also you're doing yoga, you're not trying to be a social content maker.
I
So-
think mostly what it is that especially since COVID, like people that went online really went for it. And I wanted to go more of I wanted the physical space, I wanted to help people in person. And I never really like got into the online platform for doing that, Zoom classes, or it was just a very short time and it's just not for not for me. And then also I really don't want to be on that platform where you're competing globally.
Yeah.
It goes from just, a couple of studios like local, it's like, it's kind of.
Yeah.
It's just way bigger. I guess I don't have the fancy equipment and the, microphone, and I'm just like, didn't really ever like go there. So,
And that's okay. I have a lot of ideas.
okay, good. Okay, good.
And I mentioned this last time as well, but I will share this example again, just because you brought it up too, where, so I worked with Domino's Pizza, and they obviously can hire a very large production agency to create great content, the fancy microphones, all that,
Mhm.
And they did that, and then they also had people just take pictures, no touch-ups, of the pizzas that got delivered to their door. And these pizzas looked disgusting, I'm not gonna lie, where it's like purple grease, the lighting is not right. It's not like beautiful food photography. That is real. And I was like, what, really? And that worked for all of the local Domino's. Like, there's Domino's National, and then there's Domino's like get into your local, come in, order a pizza. For every time that, just let me take a picture that someone took that is not fancy, not touched up, it is real. And it increased their sales a lot. So it's easy to go there, and this is where it's like you can test different things, and then also I'll show you all the tricks that you don't have to post 2 times a day. That's okay. Yeah. So
To get into the
Yeah.
algorithm or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why a friend of mine was trying to help me with this whole thing, and she's like, she started talking to me, and I just shut down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing Instagram 2 times a day, and you gotta do it at this exact time, every single day for this many months, like scheduling posts.
we'll make it easier, and this is one of the ways that you can.
There you go.
So, does anyone have a content calendar? Or, okay, yep. Does everyone know what it is?
Got a short list
Or
of ideas.
Yeah, see, that's the start of something. And so this is basically, well, we'll go over all of it, and I'll give you a couple guides that you can follow. But putting it together, you can put it together for a month at a time, 3 months at a time, 6
See,
months.
I have her time limited to put it together out past a month. Like, it won't let me.
And oh yeah, but this is something that you might create off
Okay.
Meta, and
Got
then you can
Got
use it. And also there are other platforms that you can use to schedule, and you can schedule super far out. You might have to pay for them, but
Right.
So is there one that does like all the platforms?
yeah,
Because that's what I want.
there's quite a lot. Hootsuite is a pretty good one, and
Oh,
Sprout
right,
Social. And then you have basically columns where you see people you can follow certain hashtags, or people you can see who's commenting on your brand, and you can do it all.
Do you
in
think it's worth it to pay
one
for
place.
like that? Like
Depends.
Hootsuite?
Like, I mean,
What is the name of it again?
Hootsuite, so Hoot, HOOTSUITE.
Okay.
Hootsuite, and then Sprout Social are 2 good ones. I mean, if
really
you're,
like the layout of Hoops. Tried it before.
yeah, and honestly, there's a million, and so if you find one that works for you, with like the price point, if you're going to pay for it, and the layout, because all of this you're doing, so that way it's sustainable for you. And if you are spending, say, more than 30 minutes to an hour every day on your content, then yes, pay for that. If you are not, no, just, it's not worth it. Ultimately, you want to save yourself time and be able to grow, and it's not worth the money if you're,
I mean, it probably should be, but I'm not.
yeah. And so that's totally fine.
I think I'm to the point where I just don't really like the 3 different apps that you need to do Facebook. For your personal, the
Your
business.
business.
Yeah, and I'm not really liking the new layout of how to kind of get to things. It seems like it's changing all the time, so I'd rather do something that takes that.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep up.
And that's why then you would pay for one of those apps that basically takes everything into consideration, so you have one place to do.
And then it's all business there, and then when I wanna go to check my Facebook or my Instagram for personal, then I can go do that. I feel like I get roadblocked by my own personal, cause you have to go through it to get to.
The business, yeah, so you can just have a third party,
I just wish I could have one, cause I don't really use
but you
my,
can do your personal one on that too. It'll have everything and you just toggle between your profiles. So it might be worth it, especially if it's really annoying to go in and do all of that. And you're right, the platform changes all the time. I'm in there every single day and every couple months it's something new.
do I
And
create an event
yeah.
here, or do I have?
yeah, and it's my job to stay up to date on those things, but not yours, so I have to. And if it weren't my job, I wouldn't do it and it would drive me insane.
That's
I mean,
how
it
I feel,
drives
like
me
maybe I
insane
should
and I
just
do
be a
it, so-
content creator and
Yeah.
just go do that, like,
Yeah,
if I'm
there you
gonna
go.
spend all the time, like.
Get get paid for it. So this is where a content calendar is really going to help you. And this is where you can plan and schedule your content in advance and make sure it meets your goals. So you all created pie charts. And you don't take that and throw it away. You want to make sure that the content you're putting out there is matching the percentages that you laid out. And all of this is to meet your business goals, because otherwise you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels and not going anywhere. So you set your goals and you're measuring yourself against those goals, and all your content is going into those buckets of the things that you said you wanted to do, like revenue generating. So if you plan your content ahead of time, it can save you up to 30% of time on content creation. And that means you don't have to think on the fly every single day and try and come up with something new. You're already in the mindset of creating content, and you can plan content out for a week, a month, 3 months, whatever, and you're just in the zone. You could spend 1 to 2 days a month, one day planning it, the second day creating it, and you have everything created for your entire month. And that means you're not spending an hour each day. You spent 2 days and you've got everything done for that entire month. And you don't even have to think about it.
So is that 30 days or is that business days or what is that?
It could be, so I would say 30, could be
Calendar
30
days?
calendar days, yeah. But again, it's up to you with your setting your goal of how many times you want to be posting a week, for example. So maybe you only want to be posting 3 times a week because that's all you can do. And so then you could go ahead and create a calendar month with 3 posts a week. Or you could say, oh, I could actually, because I'm only doing 3 posts a week, now I can actually create 2 months of content in one go because it's less.
Yeah, I'm a little irritated when I see multiple posts from the same person. I don't.
Like multiple times a day?
Yeah, I just kind of like, it makes me lose interest in.
Yeah. So, and I would say pay attention to that, because everything that you like, think about what resonates with you and what sort of content you like to see, what stands out to you, what annoys you, and follow the things that you like and don't do the things that you don't like. Just because someone says you need to be posting this many times a day doesn't necessarily mean that's right for you. And that's why I'm here also to tell you that there will be a million people telling you this is the formula you need to do and this is how many times you need to post. And
That's what I learned.
Yeah.
I just am like, this
Yeah.
is what I can do.
Yeah.
And these are could I do better? Absolutely. But this is all I got.
I think you do a great job, to be
This is all I got.
perfectly honest.
So you said one day planning it and then one day setting it up.
creating all
Creating
that content. Yep.
creating the content.
And the more times you do it, the more efficient you're going to be, where then it could just be one day. You spend the first half of the day writing everything out, and the second half of the day you spend creating all that content. And AI is your friend. It can help you. It can give you ideas for what type of content you can create depending on your goals. It can give you ideas
Oh, I
for,
was AI,
yeah.
over it.
and it helps speed things up. But
It writes all my stuff.
yeah, so, you don't, like, you're not gonna win any rewards for spending more time on creating content, but yeah, you need to get it out there.
So what do you just type in like keywords and then it just whips something up?
If you go to chat, you can just be like I'm like, hey man, what should I post? I wanna do this.
Yeah.
What, it tells me, give
You
me
give
whole
it
lot
a,
word
you
of
give
things
it
to
a
post
prompt.
for flowers.
Oh,
Yeah.
well. You don't even have to think anymore.
You don't.
No,
Give it
no,
a-
for some things you don't have to.
You just have to think, what is your question?
Yeah, exactly,
That's
and the
right.
better your question is, the better the output. I did a whole workshop on AI tools and how it can just speed up this entire process. So happy to share some of those tips as well, but I'm all for content calendars. So that way, what you're posting is consistent. Again, it improves your strategy because trying to think of things on the fly and you can't remember, did I already post my educational content? Did I already do this? When you map it all out, it just keeps you really on target to meet your goals. So again, a lot of this is saving you time. Buffer is another one, by the way, and I mentioned it up here. So you can save quite a lot of time per week by using some of these tools where you can sort of batch content and schedule it. If you're in the marketing world, you're always tasked with coming up with new concepts and getting things out and posting. And when you don't have sort of that last minute scramble, it saves you quite a lot of stress. And I imagine that is the same for small business owners as well. And also you will see an improved performance with engagement, like a huge improvement. So I said here, consistency has been shown to increase brand visibility by as much as 400%. And that means if you say, I'm gonna post one time a week, you post one time a week. It doesn't mean you show up and post every day for a week and then disappear for a month, because that was too much.
That's me.
Is worse. So,
I know that's worse.
yeah,
I
so,
struggle with that in the winter because I'm seasonal. So in the winter, I'm like,
so you can reduce your
I could do
posting.
like 3 posts for the week and leave it at that.
Exactly, yep, and so go with your schedule and what works with you, because showing up consistently is way more important than trying to get out however many posts and then ditching your effort. So consistency is key. And it's the same as working out. You go to the gym 5 days and then you take a break for 3 months, you're not gonna get any benefit from that. But if you're like, okay, I can go for an hour once a week and you keep that up, that's when you see the difference. So,
When you go to
Same thing.
yoga.
same thing here. Yoga, see, there you go.
When you talk about consistency, is there
Working on
any
it
difference
fast.
there in terms of whether or not you're putting something out there for like a post or a story? No, because the story is gonna go away.
Stories go away,
Would
but
that still
it's
count as your
still,
consistency?
it does. Yeah, because people know that maybe you just post stories or you post stories every Monday at some point, and they know that they'll see your picture.
Like I follow
there
a flower
on
farmer
your
who does it, she does 3 times a week and she does like one educational, one that makes it really super meaningful, even though she's only doing 3 times a week.
Yes, and that's fine. So do what works for you. That's most important. And then you're serving your audience. So what is it that they care about? So if you're just posting a story, what do they care about in, like, you know, your day to day? Then post those in your story. use that to provide value to your audience. And you just get better results when you have a strategy. We went over strategy last week, and it's just very important. And so same thing with content. When you have a strategy and you're following it, you're just a lot more likely to meet your goals. And so that's better results, and you're more likely to actually achieve what you set out. And ROI, which is return on investment. So that includes your time that you're spending in doing it. And so you don't want to be throwing spaghetti at the wall. You want to make sure that the time that you're spending, because you don't have that much of it, that fixed, I wish I could have 48 hours in a day, but we all only have 24 hours, and you have to split that up across all of your tasks that you need to do to run your business and your house and whatever else that it is that you're doing. And so you want to make sure that when you are spending time on content, that it is actually going to serve its purpose and be meaningful for your business, not totally flop. So, how do you build a good content calendar that will help you in the long run? So, first is you need to determine your goals. So what do you want to achieve with your content? Again, this goes back to your pie chart. So the thing is, it can be all of the above. It can be brand awareness, education, sales, and community engagement. It doesn't need to be just one or two, but you do need to understand what those goals are. Choose your platform. You don't need to be on all of them. Say, you know what, I'm going to just focus on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever it is that you want to be on. And you can be on multiple platforms too, but this is where you choose where that content is going, because that determines what you're going to create. And then, so you don't get overwhelmed, what I like to do is think about different content themes. And this is what you will follow in order to guide your content creation. When you have a guide, it's a lot easier to come up with the concepts and here's what I'm going to do, instead of sitting there for an hour just thinking about what it is to do. So I just included a few bullet points up here for different themes that you might pick. And so you can say, whenever I'm posting brand awareness, what I want to do is show behind the scenes. Then you say, I'm going to show behind the scenes this, going to show behind the scenes this. So you always know what it is that you're doing. And again, it just reduces the number of decisions you have to make along the way, already laid out for you. And then we talked about this a lot. You get to determine the frequency and timing. Don't let other people tell you what it is that you need to do in order to establish your goals. You create your goals, you create your frequency and timing. So how often are you going to post and on which platform? Lay that out and make sure that it's something that you can actually do and that's sustainable.
I saw this thing where this lady, she posts like every morning because she doesn't want to post at night because she doesn't want all the stuff coming in. And I was like, oh, I don't get any comments online, so don't worry about it.
You're like, I can post in the evening
Whenever I
time.
want.
That's right. Yep. And then maybe one of your goals is I want to increase community engagement. So now I'm going to start posting this type of content and see what happens. So I just mentioned them too, but just to give you a few ideas of how you might want to break it down between themes and goals. These are different types of content themes that you can do for the different types of content. So brand awareness, what's really good behind the scenes, origin stories. If you have a team, go ahead and introduce them. If you have a team of 10, that takes care of 10 weeks if you post about a team member once a week. Revenue generation, that's where you have your product launches, any sort of announcements for a sale or customer testimonials. You have 5 customers who have left you testimonials. Again, there you go. That is 5 posts. that you have just created, and you can use a picture of your product and a testimonial on top, and you just swap in the different testimonial, and you've got 5 pieces of content.
Is that like something you could do, like with the Canva, you could just make those up and then just keep?
I'm gonna show you exactly how. Yep. Then you have your educational content, how-to guides, little tutorials, any sort of infographic. You can break concepts down. And then community engagement, where you have polls, where you like, would you rather this or this? Like, do you want to see me make a flower bouquet with tulips and dahlias, or just tulips? It's like, there you go. And then you get people weighing in on that, ask questions, and you can run contests that you think are fun. So here are a few things that you can include in your content calendar. So you have your objective. That's very important because you need to know what is the purpose of this post. Otherwise, don't post it. Like, you want to post for a reason. So don't just post for the sake of posting and then not.
This explains why I'm getting so
Yes, anything.
and overwhelmed. So I get in there and I'm like, okay, now what am I doing? What am I trying to do?
So then you spin out and then you're like, okay, I guess I'll just do this. And then it's frustrating because you don't actually know what you're getting out of it or what you're trying to do. So this tries to make it very clear for you. So again, this is something that maybe I would include status if you're doing a content calendar for a month out. So that way, maybe it's done. If you need someone to review it, you can put it at that stage, or maybe it's scheduled. That way, if you didn't get to scheduling all of your posts or creating all of it, you at least have that documented. So you know exactly where you're at and you don't need to guess when you come back to it if you're splitting it up into a couple days. Cross-platform reuse. I love this because you don't need to create 20 pieces of content. You can take one and turn it into 10. And you can do that very quickly. So if you say, okay, I'm going to reuse this on this platform, then I can go through my list and see that all of these pieces are going to be used on different platforms, and it makes it very
See, I was trying to do that in like Google Docs where I had all the information in one place so that I could, because it's just insane how many, it's not just the post, it's like then you have to make a flyer and then it has to go into the scheduling app and then they have to be able to purchase it and then it's like gotta be on the website and it's like I've almost been trying to come up with like, do I need like a checklist? Cause I just get scattered and I go.
Yeah, and so if you have it listed here, like this is where it's going to be used again. And then you can then create like a more in-depth status column of like ready for social and brochure, but not yet. Whatever, my website or whatever it is.
Put that at?
That could be another column. I'm going to show you some examples of content calendars.
Okay.
And then you can adjust them to fit your needs. Persona targeting. So again, you're speaking to a specific audience. If you have one persona, totally fine. You might have 2. And so you want to know who you're addressing. So that way it is somewhat balanced if you have a few different types of customers. And then color coding. I love color coding. And that helps you differentiate the types of content that you're doing. So that way when you go to your pie chart, you know, okay, I've got 5 posts for educational content, 2 for sales. And you just look at it very quickly and you can break it down based on colors. You can color code however you want. Or not, if you're not into color coding, that's fine. But that's just a system I use that I really like. So this is a basic layout for a weekly content calendar. So again, you can just draft this up in a Google Doc or Google Sheets. So
this is what in my head, this is what I was trying to come up with, but it just wasn't.
I'm such a more fly by the seat of my pants.
wasn't there. And so this, I'm going to give you all the things for organizing, and you have it in your sheets. And then when we send out the slide deck, I can share with you like the worksheet version, so it'll already be on your computer. You don't have to translate it in. So I have my day, I have my platforms in which I'm posting, my objective, I have my content themes, so I know, okay, these are the things that I'm going to highlight, and what is going to be my post type, and I'm switching between different things, between a video and a static image. And I have my post copy, so I can just copy and paste. I mean, this is not excellent post copy. I'm gonna go ahead and say I needed to find things that fit in the cell for this purpose. But this gives me a clear idea of what I'm trying to put together. And then what do I want my call to action or CTA to be? And that way I know it's very clear and I know exactly what I need to do. And mapping this out might take more time up front, but then you're super organized and then you can just go
You could just
through
do this and then you could use it every
week.
every month,
You could just keep recreating and just switch it up slightly. And so, as I mentioned last week as well, less than 10% of your followers see your content anyway.
Yeah.
More likely 2 to 5% of people see it.
So
So,
if I post 3
nobody,
times, you're not gonna only see one. but-
is seeing your content. I don't wanna say
I love
nobody,
your posts.
but,
I love you too, so it's like.
Maybe your parents.
but your parents, yeah, they're like, oh, they're the ones who spend a lot of time on there, they'll like it, and then it'll keep showing up for them. But, really, you can keep posting the same thing, maybe move, if you have an image that says, like top 5 flowers. You have top 5 flowers with a picture of a flower down here, right? Next week, the top 5 flowers down at the bottom left, keep the same picture, you can do the same post. And it's fine, it looks slightly different. But there you go. Like people aren't seeing what you're posting, and especially as you continue to grow, fewer and fewer people will see it. And so you are not bombarding them with your content.
So wait, the more you grow, the less they see.
Correct. But it's just because, I mean, technically more people will see it, but a smaller percentage will see it. So if you have 1 million followers and 5% are seeing it, that's still more followers than if you have 100 followers and 10% see it, but you've got 10 people seeing your stuff.
Maybe you covered this in the last workshop on social media strategy, but given that you can create posts for both Facebook and Instagram at the same time, why wouldn't you use the same content for both of them all the time? Do you
Yeah,
want them to have
that's a
different
great-
identities?
That's a great question. And so you can post. And that's an easy way to do it. However, why would someone follow you on Instagram and Facebook if you are posting the exact same
I wondered
thing?
then.
Yeah.
And
Great
so, and typically, they might be on one platform or another, and so it's totally fine. Like, honestly, it's fine. But if you have the time, then I would think about slightly changing what you're posting on Facebook and Instagram just to fit those platforms. And honestly, one very simple change that you can do is when you post to both Facebook and Instagram, and if you're using hashtags, just go in and edit your Facebook post and remove the hashtags.
Okay, I have a question about hashtags.
And
Do they really work?
Then that's it. Yes, they do. They're not going away with them yet. I have a feeling that is where it is going, but it's used for search and people can follow certain hashtags. So there used to be like trending hashtags that still is there.
So I could
There's
just-
trending audio.
Put like a hashtag in my notes and then just copy. and paste it.
Exactly. And you can choose some of the same hashtags for consistency purposes that you're going to be using all the time for your business.
Like our
It needs to
local-
be relevant, but maybe it's like small business. And then you can see who else is using the small business hashtag And you might get shown in those, like, it gives you an opportunity to show up in other places on related content and businesses. So hashtags, yes, don't use 50 of them, max out at 8, like 3 to 8 is the sweet spot for hashtags. But-
Do you think for us, does it matter if we do it, like, what would be in our county? Like, I guess I feel like relevant hashtags to our county.
Totally fine. Yeah. And again, it allows people to search you. You can search by location, hashtag certain content. So use keywords in your posts when you can that are relevant
So
to
it's kind of like a
your
SEO.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always trying to do like OMAC, small business, yoga
Yeah.
studio.
But there
It's
are
like the
some-
basic,
There are
like,
some hashtags that are in our county that actually, like, I've noticed it's a lot of they, or I don't know, they get a lot of hits on it or whatever. I don't know.
And that's totally fine. And so use those. And what I like to do is save the hashtags that I want to use with every single post. Then you just copy and paste and be like, oh, but this post is about like business tips. So now I'm going to add in hashtag business tips. And
where do you save those?
that
In your notes.
in my, in notes or in my content calendar, just somewhere where I can easily copy and paste. It's, if you're posting from your phone, then you can just have a note that says like, here are my saved hashtags and whatever else. And you can create folders that have your content that you want to post on that too, if you're not using.
Like a Google Doc where it's just hashtags or something like that. Okay.
Yep.
I find myself leaning more towards Google.
Yep.
Because I can take everything that's not in social media too.
Google is great and it's free and I love Google. So, yeah. This one came from Hootsuite, so you can actually access Hootsuite as well. They have these types of tools. And so this is something if you wanted to create an actual calendar view, you can, again, color code certain things and put your content up here where you know, okay, I'm gonna post a blog post on these days and that's gonna be green. It's hard to differentiate the colors on here too. But if you have, say, a holiday campaign, which is what they're showing here, then I know like, okay, I'm posting about that holiday campaign every single day for 2.5 weeks. And that's it. That is the thing that I want to push. So I showed you 2 sort of different content calendars. You use whichever system works best for you. It's just you can create a different view. Ultimately, this is for you to have, so you save time and don't spend as much energy on trying to come up with stuff that aren't meeting your goals. I will say that over and over again, like set goals and everything needs to go towards that. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time creating content that's not going to move the needle for your business. So always goals.
I had lots of planning, lots of written notes, but nothing has actually made it to.
That, see, you're halfway there, you're almost there. You're almost there. So,
I see there's a couple, maybe a
Oh,
couple comments.
thank
I
you.
was fine with you. You can come up and
Send it
read
you.
and I can give you ideas.
Okay.
Oh, Ronnie said if anyone's interested in seeing Hootsuite, she uses it here. She's more than happy to show you how it works.
Oh,
Excellent. I want you to now create some time, this is in your worksheet, to create a 1-week content calendar for your brand. So first, you're going to think about how many times do I want to post in a week? That can be 1, it can be 5, it can be 10. If you want to post multiple times a day, whatever works for you. And then what I want you to do is use your pie chart percentage to assign the number of content to each day. So if you said 50% brand awareness, then I would say at least 3 days of content needs to go towards brand awareness. Or 2, it's 2.5, so, you know,
You
if
better
you're
have that
posting
half day, you better have that
5
half
days
day
a
in
week,
there.
the half day. And then you
Or
can,
2.
then you can create your weekly plan. So something to make it easier too is you can think about batching similar types of content together on a specific day. So let's say Mondays are always going to be your awareness days. Tuesdays will always be education. Like, just make it easy for yourself by creating repeatable systems that you can follow. So I just gave you a quick sample to give you an idea for you to create your own. But, you know, okay, Monday I'm gonna do an awareness post and it's going to say, meet the owner, selfie in my story. You don't need to go super in depth with your content, but I want you to think about concept ideas. And then what sort of content theme they're going to fall within.
I did a thing like in February where I did 6 weeks of different flower education and chat GPT wrote it for me.
See, there you go. It's amazing. Yeah,
I
so-
need to do this.
don't forget about your pie chart. You made it for a reason. So you're going to use that to guide you in what type of content you will be creating for the week.
This is where I struggle is because I'm like, oh no, what is awareness? What kind of stuff is awareness?
So awareness is, it's basically educating people about your brand. So your story, awareness is behind the scenes content, who you are, where you're located, anything that someone might, like, think about brand awareness as the get to know you. Okay, who do you serve? That's brand awareness.
I'm stuck now. So on a like awareness, like having a link in your post to your website's probably a good idea.
Yep.
I have a question while we're all doing all this. So we have all these different platforms. Is there an age demographic associated like more heavily with different ones?
No, definitely.
There is.
And so you're gonna tailor your content towards that age demographic. But then if you wanna get new age groups, you start doing more content on that platform.
Yeah, and then yes and no, where you tailor your content towards your demographic. So, last week I shared stats on the age demographics for each of the platforms typically, and then how many users are on there. But if you are on, say, like Facebook and Instagram, and your demographic that you want to reach, maybe you have 2, maybe you want to reach younger people for some like youth programs, and then you've got your older folks. And so you don't necessarily need to go on a new platform for that, but that's where your content needs to speak to those 2 separate groups, and you're speaking to them differently. But it doesn't necessarily mean you need to go on to a different platform.
Something.
Now this is fast, but I'm giving you one more minute to,
There's gonna be a test after this too.
there is, yeah. And if you fail, you owe me $100.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't have.
I'm gonna put it on my tab.
Yeah,
That's the revenue generator.
that's right, yeah.
I did work on my profile,
Oh, excellent.
because I was like, huh.
So did you come to the one last week?
Yeah.
I was so sick last week. Wanted to be really bad.
And revenue generated one, because a lot of this stuff will indirectly.
I feel like
Just the
awareness just
awareness
indirectly
will
affects your
Yeah,
revenue.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm realizing as I'm doing this.
That goes back to that whole funnel as well, where the more people know about you, the more they're going to come into your sphere and move down into being customers. And the biggest thing that you can do for a local business when you're, especially if you're not selling online to the world, is awareness.
How about this? We'll make a pact. I'll share your stuff, you share my stuff.
Okay. There we go,
Yes.
perfect.
Well, we're also working together this.
This is
summer,
true,
so we will be
yes.
doing.
All right, you can do it at the same
You guys
Flower
wanna come to-
Farm Yoga.
You guys wanna go do yoga at the farm?
Oh my God, it's gonna be so magical.
It's like, that sounds nice.
Last year was. Yeah, it was.
So I know that likely wasn't enough time, but hopefully got you started
I
on
didn't
some
follow
things,
my
and
pie
you
chart,
can,
I don't think at all,
you
but.
can come back and then you can redo your pie chart maybe and say, actually, this is more what I wanna do. We talked about creating content and how time consuming it can feel. So repurposing is a great way to save yourself some time. So we're going to just go over that here. So I mentioned it before and I'll do it again. This is basically your reach across different platforms when you post. So this is why you can post again your content and repurpose it. So Instagram has a slightly higher percentage of people who see what you're posting than on Facebook. So 2 to 5% on Facebook, 10 to 14 on Instagram, 5 to 6% on LinkedIn, and 5 to 10% on TikTok. I didn't do all the social platforms, but they're all basically the same. So, or around the same in terms of percentages. So we're gonna go over why you should repurpose your content and when to do it. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I feel like we've gone over it quite a lot and it's self-explanatory. Saves you time and resources. Everybody needs more of that. Exactly. It helps you maximize what works. So if you have a video that works, repost it again, maybe with a different caption or a different headline. Like, keep playing into the things that are working for you and reuse it. Don't just throw it out after it worked one time. You can keep posting it. And know that there are different audiences that hang out on different platforms, and this is what we just spoke about as well. So that's why when you don't have that much time, great. Publish your posts on Facebook and Instagram, but also know that there are some people go to platforms for different things. So, again, if you repurpose it slightly for the platform and for your audience, then, that can help you maximize your reach. And again, it boosts your SEO, as we talked about, with certain hashtags and using keywords in your content, and brand recognition. So that is great, using the same colors. People see the same image with the same fonts and colors, but maybe it's slightly different. They're gonna be like, oh wait, I remember that brand that did that.
You know, one thing I noticed about posting, especially for events, like the algorithm, it'll drop you in the algorithm if you're listing days and times of things that you're doing, less people see the post, like you can see the insights on it. So for me, when I try to promote a class,
That's weird.
Instagram and Facebook bury it because they want you to pay for advertising. So I'm better off to have a picture with the information maybe on it. Or, but anytime I go to promote my schedule or anything, it like drops it down and then it's like, would you like to pay to advertise?
Well, mine says that on all sorts of things.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does, because it's an easy way to make money.
Yeah.
And
They're just trying to get you.
And
to
this
put the
is
money.
where, I explained how the algorithm works last time too. And so it's not doing it necessarily because it's not that formula of like, okay, when you post times and dates and whatever, it bumps you. It doesn't. It bumps you if people are not engaging with your content. So what it does is it shows what you post organically to a handful of your followers and a handful of your non-followers. And it sees, are people engaging with the content? And if they are, if they like, if they comment, if they share, if they watch it, then it will continue to surface your content. If they scroll past, they're not gonna keep showing it. So that's what happens. Like, you need people to engage with your content when you post it. Otherwise, you get knocked from the rotation.
So is it even if they open up and look at a reel or look at your story, even if they don't comment or like or love it?
If they watch,
just
fine.
watched it or even just opened it, then that's what I'm finding is that for those kinds of things, especially if you're trying to do things within a shorter period of time, because it seems like one post, people will see it, but sometimes it takes a couple days for people to see it. And then, but if I do a reel or a story, it's only up for 24 hours and it's like, seems it's right there, like
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And
Good, thanks
so-
for clarifying.
Watch time is a big one, and so sometimes that's how some videos you post might have a longer tail, because then it's gonna serve it in the algorithm as recommended content. If it's seeing that people are watching at least 3 seconds of a video, then it's gonna start showing it to
How
people.
long should a video be?
If it's a good video, you can have it be that long. But otherwise, try and keep it 20 seconds and under. But people will watch videos up to 3 minutes longer if it's a good engaging video. But otherwise, rule of thumb, try and keep it under 20 seconds. Yep, and then
Really fast.
so when to repurpose content, obviously limited resources. If you're the one doing it, you're the person who's doing everything, so you need to repurpose content. Evergreen or seasonal content, if it stays relevant, then just keep reposting it. If you created something for a holiday, you can repurpose it next year, like save your stuff to reuse later when you can. And again, if you have high engagement content, so stuff that's working, post it again. It's gonna work again. And if it doesn't, then you need to understand why that stopped working. So it's always understanding the why behind what content works and what doesn't for your brand. So I'm not gonna go too much into this because again, you'll have all of this, but basically I give you examples of how you can turn a blog post or an article into different types of content. So you can have a blog post and turn it into a carousel, an email, or a video. And there are different ways of doing that. So again, you don't have to rethink something. You can have one idea and then repurpose it multiple times. you can have a video and you can turn that into a blog post or an Instagram story or a Facebook post. And then if you have any sort of testimonials or reviews, add that to an email newsletter, or you can add it to your website if you have a testimonials page, and obviously any sort of post where you can feature that testimonial and whatever it is they're talking about, make it clear.
So is that more, community engagement or brand awareness, or is that both?
Both.
Okay.
And so that's where all of this content
And
again, it's not-
educational.
and educational. None of it has to work as a standalone. They can all
I've got it, now
Work
it goes, I can.
together.
That's
Exactly.
great.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to take the content from like a Google review and repurpose it
Yeah,
into.
I wouldn't, if you didn't get permission, then I wouldn't like put their name on it. But
We could put their, just their first name or their,
You
their
just
last
have to
name.
get permission.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure I get permission for everything.
And that's something that you might just need to look at with whatever your legal, like if someone publishes on Google, are you allowed to use it? What I've done previously is take the number of stars and take their quote and then just do that and don't put the name and it's fine. But I do think that you can use the name as long as it's not their picture as well. So,
You could make up a random.
and you can also make up a random testimonial.
Anonymous.
and put that on
We went
there.
through this.
Yeah.
So, this is gonna be a longer exercise and I want to make sure we have enough time, but this is something that I want you to do on your own, and something that I just want you to think about. So, I want you to think about why you started your business. That's going to be your prompt, and think about what that story is. And then I want you to think how you can tell that story or show that story in 5 different ways.
5 different.
Yeah. So,
So you could break down like the who, what, when, where, and what, like that could be your, kind of your format too,
Yeah.
and then pick the 5 different ways, like that's enough content for.
exactly, and that could basically last you like a month.
Yeah.
Make it last a month.
And then repeat it.
Yep.
In different ways, got it.
How about that? And then let me see, because I want to see where I put this. Oh, yeah. So in your worksheet also, and you'll see it printed out, with your weekly content calendar, I put together content ideas for an entire month for you if you were to post 7 days a week. So you can use those
So I'll take that.
as ideas to get you going. And then you could repeat that the next month. This is for the month of November, so some stuff might not be relevant because it's around Thanksgiving and Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff. But there you go. And then say, great, now I'm gonna just do all of that again for the next month. And it's all there. So I wanted to give you some tips to do that quickly. And now, last part is, before we do some of our creating stuff using templates, is you need to understand how to segment your content by audience. So if you have a few different personas or different types of customers, if you have young people and old people, how do you take that same piece of content and then make it work for both of them?
How do I take my content that really is for women and make it work for a man? For
Yeah.
Mother's Day?
Yep, exactly. And you can't just swap out the image and change your copy, yeah. So basically what you can do is take your broader audience and break it down into smaller groups, and you would do this using, you could do it using demographic data, psychographic data, or behavioral data. So understanding, like, am I talking to a new customer? Am I talking to a returning customer? Different people right there. And so your content is going to be slightly different if you're talking to someone who's new versus someone who's returning. And psychographic data, like maybe someone cares about the sustainability element of something and someone else just cares that it's a luxury good, or someone else just cares about price. So you're going to think about how you talk to these different types of people. And so here you want to look at the purpose of your content as well. And so you want to talk to audiences who are unfamiliar with your brand. So you can create those intro posts that focus on the values of your target audience. Or maybe you want to sell more to your repeat customers. So you share content that maybe talks about some bundled offers so you can increase that average order value. So again, this is you know your audience and now know the purpose of your content. So everything is working together. What are your goals? Who are you talking to? What is your purpose of this content? And then if you want to build engagement, you need to be speaking to whoever that is. Get them engaged with you.
So I did my rebrand and I didn't ever like, it was like I decided not to ask for permission or really talk to anyone about, I just did it. Like, it was like I started to talk to people about it and they were like, why are you changing? I love your old name. And then I started really kind of second guessing myself. And then it was like, no, I'm doing this for me. And it was something about like, someone said something about, you don't need to ask permission, just do it. You know, but then I like it was really hard for me to, so I haven't really officially had a grand opening because it was during COVID and then I rebranded and then I get really overwhelmed on like where to start. So for someone, so say I wanted to kind of like dig into the basics of do I start with myself, like me? Cause you are so I basically start with who am I and what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then talk about the rebrand, tell that story. Why did you do it? What prompted it? Where are you today?
And I have so much content already on that it would be like, for me, it's like, I need to condense it, like, or maybe it's like 3 or
Let
4
it out. You got
posts, right?
Exactly.
Like, I think that's maybe.
tell the
what I-
story. And that's the way to keep people coming back and increasing engagement. Say, I'm gonna tell you the story of my rebrand in 5 videos. Post a video maybe once a week, then they have to come back and see part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. You can break things down and you're building that anticipation and letting people in and you're leaving them with a cliffhanger where they, oh, I want to know the next part. All right, let me come back. So
what I love about yoga, like I could go on for days about like that could be like,
exactly, break it down into 10.
why did I
the
choose
top.
this? I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And if your video is 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'll be like scheduling out for 6 months from now.
There you go, done. You're like, oh, I
5
don't even have
sentences
to,
next.
I don't even have to look at this anymore.
Cause it'll be like a whole document.
Maybe you should.
Maybe, or if it's a video and I talk a little faster.
Yeah, so all of that, you can just get creative. And again, you don't need to create another piece of content if you have it. A lot of it is just thinking about how do you repurpose it and cut it in different ways. But
Yeah, it's mostly it's the trying to figure out the reels and finding the music and doing it's like, it's just.
here we go. That's where we're gonna get into using templates to do it quickly and then using Canva's templates, which you can access for free.
And can't you schedule posts from Canva?
Yeah, you have to pay for that, but
I paid for the pro?
Yep.
Oh, so if I'm paying for that, I can already do it.
Yeah. And you can publish it straight from Canva to your social profile, so makes it easy. So, here's another way to repurpose content. I won't really go into it, but basically you can have time to look at this later, where maybe you wrote a blog post. How could you use that blog post to create something for new customers and loyal customers? So I just want to keep highlighting ways that you can take one piece of content and basically tailor it depending on your purposes, what your goals are, and who you're speaking to.
Intro just kind of changes a little bit.
Exactly. You just have to change one thing and keep the rest of it, and it's new. So this is something that you will also do on your own now, using that prompt of why you started your business. So think about that story. And then all I want you to do is rewrite your hook or your intro, for each persona. So I want you to think about how would you tell that story to 3 different types of people if they're a newbie coming to you for the first time. They're sort of skeptical of whatever it is that you're offering. How would you talk to that person? And then how would you talk to the person who really cares about speaking to their values and their motivation? So think about that. I'll just read out the examples, just that way if you have questions, you can ask me and then you'll be able to do this on your own. So maybe to someone who's new, a way to bring them into my world is I can start off by saying I had no idea what I was doing when I started. It was just a gut feeling and a big dream. And someone's like, what did you start? They want to know more. That's a very engaging start to why did I start my business? Someone who's maybe skeptical about whatever it is I do, I can say, after watching people waste money on these other solutions that didn't work, I knew I had to do it differently. That's going to bring someone who's already doubting, like, oh, all right, there's all these other ways and it didn't work and you did actually develop something new. What is it that you've created that I want? And then to the person who really cares about sort of the values and motivation is I started this business to serve people the way I wish someone had served me, with heart, honesty, and purpose. I'm like, oh, you know, okay, I can support that person. And so that's where I can tell that story and I'm just creating a different start that speaks to those 3 different people. And then I tell the same story, just one different line. And it gets different people in. So now we get to create our templates. We have 20 minutes, so we're gonna do a short amount of time on Instagram and then a short amount of time on Canva. So basically Instagram, we're gonna use Instagram. If you have the app on your phone, we're just gonna do it there. They make it really easy for you. Yeah, and that'll be for Canva. And I'll show you Canva up here too. So if you don't have a computer, you can just watch me and then you can practice at home on your own. So here are some nice instructions. So I want you to open up Instagram.
Immediately start scrolling.
All on it. Yep.
I'll be going to do something totally different on my phone and without even thinking about it, my finger hits the blue button and I'm scrolling and I'm like, what didn't go to, I'm trying to play music or something.
So on the bottom of your screen in the Instagram app, you should see a square with a plus sign. A plus sign.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And so you're going to just click on that.
Create a story. I created a story all the way here.
See, there you go. And now it should, on the bottom, you'll see it has different options that says post, story, reel, and live. So you're going to click on reel.
I must be the only person who wrote this on Instagram.
Okay. I'll show you on mine here.
And
then what you're going to do is you're going to click on templates.
Oh, what?
Up here. And now it's going to give you templates that are recommended for you on the top row. And it is going to also give you templates that are trending. That means you use one of those trending templates and your reel is going to likely get shown to a bunch of other followers. I need to turn off my volume on this. So anyway, you can choose any of those. And then all you need to do is then click on your photos or videos you have in your camera roll. And you publish it. And it's done.
Wait, I can't just publish the dog nose in.
I mean, you could do that too. That would be great. And you might see on the bottom right corner of the
You couldn't.
templates, a little bookmark. So if there are templates that you like, you can save them and you can
Wait.
keep coming back to them
This. Okay,
over
so where is
and
that?
over.
Oh, right here, the save button.
Yep, and then you'll see,
The what?
This, that's
Oh,
the save.
yep, so you can save templates. So then you'll see on the top of your screen, you have browse, so you can browse a bunch of different templates. And then you have an option for save, so you can access all of your saved templates.
So when you go, so like here's a trending, is it basically just the music and you just put your pictures to it?
And that is it. And
That
then
is
you
it.
can hit publish and you've published a reel
Okay.
in however long it takes you to add your photos.
Sorry.
That's okay, I mind volume up too.
Isn't Instagram kind of linked to Facebook? If you link it.
Yeah, if it's, yeah. And so maybe you have one that has text on it. So you can add your media.
So is this how many you can add? A lot of.
Each of those black squares.
Should have got Renan's purple suit.
Apparently I did.
Hey, look at that. So, anyway,
There you
with
go.
any, and then after you fill in all of the little black boxes for your template, then you click on next. I'm gonna choose a shorter reel, so I
Yeah,
can
this reel's
show
with
you.
it on,
So,
but I'm sure I have enough flower pictures somewhere.
mhm. So, okay, now I filled out all of my my short clips. Then I'm going to click on next. And this is where I can add all my special elements. So maybe I click on the text that comes with the template and I can just type in what I want. I'll go done, but you can click on it and then you can change the font, you can change the color.
So if it has all those things at the bottom, you have to use that. You have to use that many pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So where did you find templates again? It took me a while to find Instagram. So
Oh, yeah, so,
I found the little plot box with the plus.
yep, and then, are you on Reels?
So then add media is the
Down
text.
here.
So add
So
media would
upload
be if you wanna add more like
You're on
photos or
posts, so-
videos.
okay.
Now click next, cancel that.
Okay, and then it's the text.
Yeah.
Yeah, see my.
And that's
this
where
one
you can
right here.
start adding anything to it.
Like spring bouquets. Spring flowers, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, real. Gotcha.
And Yep. then templates.
And then there, okay, okay.
And so in that, you can add closed, so once you add all of your clips, it can be, this is how you can create a video using images. They don't need to be video clips. You just put together a ton of photos and you've created a reel.
Okay, that's fine.
And then down here is where you have all of the options for editing. So this is where you can add closed captions. This is where you can choose different music if you would like. This is where you can add stickers and text. And then you'll also see when you scroll all the way to the right, there's a little download or a little down arrow. So you save it to your camera roll, and then you can upload that in multiple places because you have just created.
Okay, wait, where did
A
you get
video.
this?
So scroll all the way to the right on the bottom toolbar.
This one?
Yep. There you go, download.
Awesome, I was really wondering.
And
how to do
then-
that.
You can use it over and over again.
Oh, and so this is how you can do your voiceover? Oh.
Yep, and then you can add closed captions, and it's all right there, just using a template. And now all of you, with my demonstration,
I'm gonna post mine.
created a video in less than 10 minutes.
I'm not
So-
sharing this one.
Use templates. It's very easy to do. And again, unless you really get a kick out of creating your own video templates, just use.
That's what I've been doing.
What they have.
It just sucks.
Mhm.
That's who would do it.
Yeah, me, that's who would do it, because I don't know any better.
So this is kind of a basic question, but I'm so new at this. So you kind of want to start moving towards taking virtual videos.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, I would pretty much always do vertical videos. If you're going to be posting on social. Yeah. Yeah. It's moved that way. No more,
Yeah.
no more landscape.
thing. Yeah.
Very
Yep.
quick, cause I'm always thinking, the computer
Yeah.
screen, so it's gotta be more.
When it's on YouTube, like. You can create landscape, but what you would end up doing is creating content for all of the different placements. So not everyone is gonna be watching something on their phone. Some might be watching it on the computer. And the platforms are pretty good at if you're running ads, they can resize it for you. So that way it works across devices. But otherwise, another good rule of thumb, it's hard to do when you're doing it from your phone, so just do vertical. But, you can do things in a 4:5 ratio, so not square, 4:5. And that allows you to resize to almost any
When
of
you
the
take your
other
pictures. the format, yep.
formats without it getting messed up. So,
Just post it?
Yeah,
now, let me see if I can do this. Exit.
what is some music? I hope it has. I'm gonna turn this up just for a sec.
Dang it.
Dang it. What did I do wrong? Oh, wow, it's pretty.
Okay, so now I'm gonna show you in just
This is what
a couple minutes how to create something on Canva that you can use on social media. So you go to canva.com and now I'm going to click on templates. And I can go to social media. And let's say I want to create an Instagram reel. Since we just did that on Instagram, I'm going to show you how to create that on Canva. So I'm going to click.
No, you're fine, go ahead, Mark.
I need to be signed, signed in.
You probably need to create a free account.
Okay, so you went to Instagram Reel.
So go to template and then Instagram Reels. And just notice this number up here. That is how many templates you get to have to choose from. You have 20,000 templates, which means you don't really ever have to create your own.
I never create my own. That's how I came up with my brand.
Yeah. And so let's just use this one for now. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to say customize this template.
Oh, so is this here, up here?
Yep, and over here, yep, you can go there or click on templates here. Go to social media. And then all of them.
Well, only 20,000 templates to choose.
I know, which one?
That's
Which
where I'm
one
gonna get
to
stuck.
go with. And so now what I'm going to do, I need to just make this smaller so that way.
Is there one of them that? Well, so you do one and then it will convert to all of that, I guess that's what so you have to do separate ones for each platform.
Yeah, but we're just going to create, but not entirely, because we're doing an Instagram reel. And the only thing that that's telling us is what size it needs to be, and we're creating a video. You
So
can
whether it's
share
fa-
that on TikTok, you can share it on Facebook.
Well, and then it also
You
does
can-
the magic converter so that you
Exactly.
can choose and
Yeah.
it'll reformat it, take all the information and drop it into a new. Okay.
Exactly, and that's what you can do with the pro account. So here's my video, but I want to actually see the video. So what I'm gonna do is click on duration. And now I see it's a 27.5 second video. And it's just one video with
Did you push play after you clicked on it?
text.
Okay.
Click on duration on the bottom left.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
There you go.
And then all I now need to do is just, why don't I click on this text and say, come
I kind of like kind of good.
to my next workshop.
Good morning from-
And then I want to maybe choose a different video, or let's say I like this video, I just wanted to change the text on it and maybe change the color. So what I can do here is choose a different color. Now I've just turned it completely pink.
That's like petals.
Yep, so we'll take that out. And what I can do is I can go to edit. And you can add,
How did you get there?
yep, so if you just click on the video itself, then you can click on edit,
Are these real? I guess, did I even have to?
go back up.
It does look like you can't go pro to use the template.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
Not
There
all
are-
of them,
yeah,
there's
there are
free
some.
ones.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are free
Okay, 'cause I
templates.
clicked on the same one and it said I need it.
Oh, yeah, so let me try and find a free one that will help.
It says it down in the lower. corner.
Yep.
See. Okay.
I don't know, I feel like
We were.
I paid for pro, and
and
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I love it. I need to use it more.
Instagram,
I do too.
Instagram reel templates.
I didn't really realize how to, so.
Yep, and so maybe I'll search for free.
So if I want to edit, then. Cause it's on Apple.
So here's a free one because it doesn't say pro, so I'll just use this.
Oh, there's rails, okay.
And then I'm going to customize this template. And all I need to do is I can click on any of the elements on the screen. And I'm gonna move that over here. And then I'm going to say, instead of good morning, hello.
They posted at the wrong time of day, at 8:00. Good morning.
Have a nice day.
I'm gonna just put this on my stories every day.
Good
Yeah.
morning. from the
Have a nice day. And that's
Good
it.
morning,
And maybe
Summer.
what I want to do is I want to animate this hello slightly differently. So I can go up here and click on animate. And I just hover over the animation and it shows me what it looks like. And you can animate on enter. So when so there's on enter, which means as soon as your video starts playing. On exit, that means when someone's leaving the video, it'll do that animation, or you can have it animate on both enter and exit. You can change the speed. So if I slow it down, it's gonna take longer for that animation to occur. And you have all of these effects.
It says Instagram does not support scheduling for stories or reels right now.
All right, well, that's new. That might be some sort of error that is, they might be working.
What's the animate part in this? What you're showing?
Is yours?
Oh, like,
I don't
The
think
sun
I've
up
ever.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
The
is.
sun and my text. So I have my text when I hit play. Let me move it to the beginning.
Well, then you could just save it and do it.
See how my text just appears? Yep.
Okay.
So that's a way where you can have a static image and you add some elements that animate on it, and now you have a video. Yep.
It says I can do it on my mobile. Okay. But so if you save your content, your reel here, and then, cause I don't wanna create it here, cause that's.
Yes. So
But
save
it's
it, you
still
can
there.
save it on your computer. You can either send it to yourself or put it in like a Google folder
So I
that you
saved
can
it in my
access.
content planner, so I'm wondering if I get to Canva.
Wait, you have a content planner in Canva?
I didn't know that either. It just said, do you wanna save it in your content planner? I'm like, sure.
So I could go and give you an entire workshop on Canva, but I
Oh,
just
yeah.
wanna show you how
Maybe that should be.
you
know what, you
the
can
reel,
YouTube
and
it.
all you do is just swap in your image or your video,
There it is.
and you can update
The
text. If you wanna create new text, then I would just add a text box. And you can change the font, the size, the color. So, demo. And then I'm going to change it to, maybe I want, some sort of handwriting font. So I'll go with that. And now you can see, it makes it very easy to put everything in the same font because that's part of your brand. And you can hit change all. And it changes all of the font that used to be this, to that. I'm not gonna do that just yet. And then I can make it bigger. And maybe I'll make it yellow.
Do you guys wanna see how my content looks?
And there you go. And then all you do after that is go to share. And that's where you can download it.
And these are things like I did this, and then.
And if you go to see all, you can send it to your phone. You can share it to your social account when it's not giving you an error. You can send it in a message. And you can do pretty much anything, but that's how you publish or save from there. And we are over time. I'm sorry, everyone. I hope this was helpful, at least, and not super overwhelming. There's a lot that you can do.
Looks like you can do quite a bit with free account too.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can. Yep, and I used free for a while, and then
Yeah.
I
It's probably
stopped.
worth
I-
it.
it's appropriate for me
Yeah.
to pay.
Yeah.
But yep,
Oh, I should, I'm basically.
yes, Tina, templates. Use all the templates, and I will stop.
I was just going to mention that we will post this onto the Okanagan County Economic Alliance YouTube channel, so that if you do need to go back and learn more or revisit the training that you guys had today, it will be available there once we get this all completed and we get it uploaded. And if you did miss the social media training that Carolyn did last week, it will also be uploaded and available on our YouTube channel. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
yes.
Thank
Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
You don't need that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do.